Before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow, and you won't miss stories like this one. I never asked to be born, yet my mother's words, "I never wanted you," still cut through me, sharp as broken glass lodged in my chest. I'm Yvonne, 34 years old, a marketing director who once believed success could finally win me love. It didn't. From our spotless Boston house to the sleek office I earned in Chicago, I carried those words like a shadow. They molded my choices, drove my ambition, and set me on a path toward a revenge so subtle, she never saw it coming. Family is supposed to be your shield. For me, it was about surviving neglect while making sure the outside world saw perfection. Have you ever been torn between craving love and protecting yourself? Share in the comments, because what happened next turned her cruelty into the very weapon I used against her. Part 2. Childhood in Boston's perfect house. From the outside, our Boston home was flawless. White picket fence, freshly cut grass, shining windows. Inside, the truth was colder. My mother, Catherine, never had a hair out of place. Designer suits, polished heels, eyes like steel. She inspected everything, my grades, my chores, even how I folded towels. "Is this how you fold?" she'd sigh, redoing it without a word of thanks. When I won first place at the science fair, she barely looked at my board. "Work on your handwriting next time." The praise always went to my younger brother, Michael, her little genius. Meanwhile, I tried everything to be seen. Scrubbing my room spotless, signing up for every activity, even joining choir despite my off-key voice, just hoping she'd notice. But birthdays came and went forgotten. One year, she didn't remember at all until I reminded her at dinner. "Oh, is that today? We'll grab a cake this weekend," she muttered, already planning Michael's party. When I won a debate championship, I reserved 2 seats for them. The auditorium filled with proud parents, but those 2 seats stayed empty, staring back at me like open wounds. Teachers applauded my essays. Classmates clapped when I read aloud. But every cheer felt hollow, because I knew no one at home cared. Permission slips came back late, or unsigned altogether. Field trip fees were ignored. Sometimes teachers quietly paid for me, and that pity burned worse than hunger. Next door at Jessica's, her mom baked cookies, asked about my day, hugged me like it was second nature. It stung more than it soothed, proof that love was possible, just not for mine. Loneliness settled beside me like a lifelong roommate. My father, kind but absent, never stepped in to shield me from her coldness. At night, I'd write stories she never read, dreaming of mothers who smiled, who showed up, who stayed. I trained myself to hide the hunger for her pride, to wear a smile while starving inside. But then one phone call made it undeniable. I wasn't imagining her rejection. Part 3. High school hope, then the phone call. Teenage years are supposed to be messy, carefree. Mine were sharp, deliberate, built on survival. At 15, I still clung to a fragile hope that maybe my mother would change. So I doubled down. Straight A's, honor society, advanced placement classes. Each triumph should have been a golden key to her approval. Instead, she chipped at every success. "Good grades, but your handwriting's sloppy." "Nice award, but Michael's math scores are higher." Every word subtracted from the little worth I had managed to build. By 17, hope had cracked wide open. I started applying to colleges in secret, desperate for distance. Then Stanford, a scholarship. I placed the acceptance letter on the counter, my heart racing. That night, her response, "Stanford's too far. Harvard has better connections." My father nodded faintly. Michael crunched his cereal, oblivious. And me, I vanished again. It wasn't rage that filled me, it was bone-deep exhaustion. I had given her everything. It was never enough. One weekend, while home alone, the phone rang. I answered. Silence. Then I realized someone had picked up the other line. My mother's voice floated through the air. "Margaret, between us, I never wanted a daughter. Too much neediness, too much drama. I never wanted her." Those words cut sharper than any insult. Proof. Clear. Undeniable proof of what I had suspected all my life. I hung up the phone, my hand trembling, my chest hollow, the ground tilting beneath me. That night, I confronted her. I heard you on the phone. Did you mean it? You never wanted me. She didn't even blink. She lowered her book, sighed, as though I had asked about groceries. I wasn't ready for children. Your father insisted. I did what was expected. You got what you needed. Not everyone feels motherly love. Her voice was flat, detached, like she was talking about taxes, not my existence. My father half rose from his chair. Catherine. But he sank back down, his silence louder than her cruelty. That night, the truth crystallized. No matter how flawless I became, she would never love me. Her lack of affection was not my failure, it was her limitation. I stopped trying to earn what she could never give. Instead, I began plotting my escape. Stanford was more than education, it was survival. I accepted my admission without her approval. And when I boarded that plane heading west, I left behind more than just Boston. I left behind the desperate girl who begged for crumbs of affection. In California, her rejection became the blueprint for my quiet revenge. Stanford was freedom. No more cold stares across the dinner table. No more empty chairs at my triumphs. I studied psychology, trying to unravel the woman who had broken me. Then I built a career in marketing, mastering how emotions drive decisions, how perception becomes power. Chicago became my canvas. I climbed quickly, promotion after promotion, turning hunger into fuel. By 30, I was a director, leading teams, shaping campaigns, earning respect I had never found at home. But her voice still lingered. You'll never be enough. That's when I created the Restoration Project, a foundation for children like me, raised in houses without warmth. I poured my pain into programs, therapy, scholarships, mentorship, safe spaces where silence could finally be broken. For once, my scars had a purpose. Then came the call. It was a Tuesday night. I was leaving the office, the city glowing against the glass towers. Hello, Yvonne. Her tone was formal, like she was addressing a colleague. Your father's medication has changed. Insurance won't cover it. The cost is significant. There it was. Not pride, not affection, need. The silence dragged on. She expected me to fill it with money with obedience. I didn't. I let her ask. We thought perhaps you could help. Just temporarily. For the first time, she was the one reaching toward me. The woman who never wanted me, who had always measured love in transactions, was cornered by circumstance. I answered evenly, I'll help. But we need to talk in person. I'll fly to Boston this weekend. The shock in her pause was unmistakable. She had expected a simple transfer, a quiet bailout, not a meeting on my terms. That weekend, I returned to the house that had never felt like home. The same kitchen table, the same stale air of judgment. Only now I carried leverage. She looked older. Deep lines framed her mouth. Her polished mask had begun to crack. And she knew, before either of us spoke, that the balance of power had shifted. For the first time in my life, she needed me more than I ever needed her. And I intended to use that need to rewrite the rules between us. By 32, I had everything she valued. A corner office overlooking Chicago's skyline, a salary that made me untouchable, and a reputation respected across the business world. And my foundation, the Restoration Project, had already launched with. Momentum carried me forward. I gave children from homes like mine, the ones marked by neglect, the recognition I once ached for. So when Boston invited me to speak at a charity gala, I knew she'd show up. Catherine Morgan never passed up a chance to sit among Boston's elite. That evening, I dressed in red, strong, polished, untouchable. Stepping onto the stage, I looked over the crowd, and there she was, her face carefully arranged in polite indifference. Good evening, I began. Tonight, I want to speak about invisible wounds, the kind that come from emotional neglect. For 20 minutes, I shared what it meant to grow up unseen, unheard, unvalidated. I never said her name. I didn't need to. Every story was a reflection of my childhood. Every word tugged at the audience's hearts. I explained how children starved of affection often become relentless overachievers, chasing perfection in hopes that it might buy the love that should have been given freely. The room was silent, hanging on every word. I noticed water glasses trembling, one of them hers. When I finished, applause erupted. Colleagues commended my strength. Donors pledged support. And she sat there, trapped. To deny my words, she would have to unmask herself. In the months that followed, newspapers quoted my speech. Boston Magazine profiled my foundation. Her friends whispered questions she couldn't silence. At home, Michael finally confronted her. You never treated Yvonne fairly. I saw it every day, he said. My father added gently, Catherine, maybe she's right. For once, she had no rehearsed lines. The final reckoning came in our old kitchen. I placed brochures for my foundation on the table. This is what I built from the words you gave me. I'm not here to destroy you. I'm here to make meaning out of what you denied me. Her mask cracked. Is this really how you see me? As abusive. I think you never wanted me. You told me so. My entire life has been proof that your limits aren't mine. Her hand slammed the table. You exaggerate. I clothed you, fed you, educated you. What more could you have expected? Michael stood, his voice trembling. She expected love, Mom. And you never gave it. I lived there too. I saw everything. The room fell silent. My father rubbed his temples, unable to meet my gaze, but whispered she deserved better than our silence. For the first time, my mother's shoulders slumped. Her mask slipped. I didn't know how to be different, she admitted quietly. Not an apology, but the first truth she had ever offered me. And in that moment, I realized my revenge was already complete. Part 6, Healing, Purpose, and Chosen Family. 2 years have passed since that night in the kitchen. I'm 34 now, and the scars of my childhood no longer run my life. The Restoration Project has grown into 3 cities, giving hundreds of young people the therapy, mentorship, and community I once longed for. My career still thrives, but success isn't about proving my mother wrong anymore. It's about creating a life that feels whole, surrounded by people who choose me freely. Alex came into my life unexpectedly, a pediatric surgeon with steady strength. He showed me that love doesn't demand perfection. Love simply shows up every single day. For the first time, I can see family on my own terms, not as chains of duty, but as bonds of trust we choose. My mother still struggles. She tries, awkwardly. Birthday cards, small questions about my work. Whether it's growth or guilt, I don't know. But here's the truth I've learned. Forgiveness isn't one moment. It's a process. Some days, I feel compassion. Other days, the hurt returns. Both are real. The real revenge was never her suffering. It was my thriving. It was turning pain into purpose and ending the cycle of neglect. Forever. Because family, I've discovered, isn't about blood. It's about love freely given by people who choose you again and again. Have you ever had to redefine family for yourself? If so, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments because healing speaks louder when we do it together. The greatest revenge isn't making them regret. It's living so fully that their approval no longer matters.